How are you guys doing? It is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Out here in this quarantine, I'm James Sims, and for this episode of the Elite, I'm gonna do a bit on all four of the sports that I cover because I'm not trying to do anything for my birthday tomorrow. But for now, I'm gonna take you through the MLB playoffs, how they would look as of right now. I haven't done this yet this season. But of course, we're pretty late into the season, but it's time to start doing this because the season will officially be over within the next 2-3 weeks, probably. But they still have to continue their season for teams that didn't play. But without further ado, I'm gonna jump into how the MLB playoffs would look right now if the season stopped. So first off, the top seed in the American League would be the Tampa Bay Rays. They have a 28-15 record and they lead the American League East. If they so because the teams will choose who they play, I'm not going to say who their matchups would be, but just keep this in mind, right? So the Tampa Bay Rays have the best record. A game and a half behind them, there's a three-way tie. They're the 25-15 Oakland Athletics, the 20 who lead the American League West, the Chicago White Sox, who are 26-16, and the Cleveland Indians, who are 26-16. And both of those teams lead the American League Central. One game behind all three of those teams, or half a game behind all three of those teams, are the 27-18 Minnesota Twins, who are 4.5 games ahead of who are 4.5 games into this wild card. A game and a half behind the Minnesota Twins are the 24-18 Toronto Blue Jays, who are 3.5 games behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays. That's one series. And then jumping up behind them, 2.5 games behind them are the Houston Astros, who are 22-21. They're 6 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're 1 game ahead of the first team out, the Baltimore Orioles. And the last team in the American League playoff picture are the 21-21 New York Yankees, sitting at 500, 6.5 games behind the first place Tampa Bay Rays, who they are playing this series. And they are half a game ahead of Baltimore, who is the first team out. Looking at the rest of the ALs, that's not in. The Baltimore Orioles are half a game behind the New York Yankees. The Detroit Tigers, half a game behind them, are 1 game behind the Yankees. The 19-23 Seattle Mariners are 2 games behind the Yankees. They're a game behind the Tigers. 2.5 games behind the Seattle Mariners are the 17-26 Los Angeles Angels, who are 4.5 games out of the wild card. 2 games behind them are the 15-28 Kansas City Royals, who have the worst record in the AL Central. They're 6.5 games out of the wild card behind the New York Yankees, and sitting at the same spot as them are the 14-27 Texas Rangers, who have the worst record in the AL West. They're 6.5 games behind the Yankees for the wild card. And at the very bottom of the American League, it is the Boston Red Sox, who are 15-29, 13.5 games back of the first place Tampa Bay Rays in the American League, and they are 7 games behind the New York Yankees, their rivals for the last spot in the wild card for this bubble season, the shortened season. Jumping out to the National League, starting off from the top, the Los Angeles Dodgers have the best record in the National League and in all of baseball. 4.5 games behind them within their own division are the San Diego Padres, who are 27-17. They have the second best record in all the National League. A game and a half behind them are the 25-18 NL Central leading Chicago Cubs, who are 6 games behind the Los Angeles Dodgers in total. Half a game behind them are the 24-18 NL East leading Atlanta Braves, who are 6.5 games behind the first place Dodgers, sitting at that 4th seed. A game and a half behind the Atlanta Braves are the 21-18 Philadelphia Phillies, the second best team in the NL East, who are 21-18, and they are 8 full games behind the Los Angeles Dodgers for first place. A full game behind them are the 18-17 St. Louis Cardinals, who are 9 games behind the Dodgers. Tied with them for the last spot in the National League wild card, or the playoff spot, are the 19-18 Miami Marlins and the 22-21 San Francisco Giants. So far, those are the 8 teams. But I'll get back into that in a second. The first team out of the National League playoff picture are the 20-22 Colorado Rockies, who are a game and a half behind the San Francisco Giants and 10.5 games behind the first place Dodgers. A game behind them and 2.5 games behind San Francisco are the 18-22 Milwaukee Brewers. who are, like I said, they're 2.5 games behind. But a game or half a game behind the Milwaukee Brewers are the 19-24 New York Mets, who do sport the fourth best record in the National League East. They are 12 games behind the first place Dodgers and 3 games behind the San Francisco Giants for the last spot in the playoffs. Half a game behind them are the 18-24 Cincinnati Reds, who are 3.5 games behind the San Francisco Giants. A game and a half behind the Cincinnati Reds are the defending Major League Baseball champions, the Washington Nationals, who are 16-25 with the worst record in the NL East. They are 5 games behind the San Francisco Giants on the season. A game and a half behind them are the 14-26 Pittsburgh Pirates, who are 6.5 games behind the San Francisco Giants. And in very last place at the bottom are the 15-28 Arizona Diamondbacks, half a game behind the Pirates. They are 16 full games behind the Dodgers, who are in their own division, and they are 7 full games behind the the San Francisco Giants, who have the last wild card spot, who are once again in their own division. But just to take you through, here the eight teams in the American League that are in the playoffs right now are the Tampa Bay Rays, the Oakland Athletics, the Chicago White Sox, the Cleveland Indians, the Minnesota Twins, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Houston Astros, and the New York Yankees. For the National League is the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, the Chicago Cubs, the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Miami Marlins, and the San Francisco Giants. Once again, thank you for listening to my piece. It is Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. This is The Elite, and I am James Sims. And I hope all is well. And I thank you once again for listening to my piece. Peace out.